Hi, I'm Terry Taylor, and I'm coming to you from the couch, episode 2 of the Terry Taylor Show. I apologize this is going up so late. We've been having some technical difficulties here today. So much so that this is like the fourth time I'm shooting this thing, and we've had to resort to a selfie stick and a cell phone. Anyway, welcome to the show. I'm glad you tuned in. I got a lot of things to talk about. Today is my episode where we talk about Stranger Things, the Netflix 8-part series. I guess it's a season 1. It has not yet been renewed for a second season, but it will. It will be. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about some news that came out. If you saw my episode yesterday, it was about Suicide Squad and the mixed reactions, the mixed reviews that were coming in from critics. And the Hollywood Reporter came out today. Well, actually, I think they came out late yesterday. And they said that Suicide Squad faced immense pressure because of the time crunch for it to be released by its release date that they had set for themselves. So David Ayers, the director, only had 6 weeks to come up with a script. The Hollywood Reporter also said that there's actually 2 different edits of this film. There's 2 versions of this film. The first one is David Ayers' cut, which is a very dark, very violent, very grim version. It's his vision of the film, and the other version is cut by a company called Trailer Park, who actually did the edit of the first teaser, which was very popular, and it was sort of lighthearted. So they did a lighthearted, more colorful version of the film, and the reason this was done is because of the backlash of Batman vs. Superman. The box office didn't make nearly what they were expecting, and there was scathing reviews all around. I mean, think what you will of the film. I have my opinion, and I'm sure you have yours. One thing we can all agree on: everybody's got an opinion of that film. But because of the backlash of that, they opted to have this second edit, which is very lighthearted and very, very funny. And they showed it to test audiences a couple of months ago, and the one that won out was the Trailer Park edit, which David Ayers had nothing to do with. Now, David Ayers signed off on them using this particular cut as long as they made a couple of concessions for him. So basically what we're seeing, the final version that's going to be released tomorrow, is going to be basically the Trailer Park edit with some sort of like nods to David Ayers' version. Basically, they were trying to play it safe. The movie studio's trying to play it safe, and they brought all the cooks into the kitchen, and it's looking so far like the film is suffering for it. And Jared Leto actually came out and said that they actually cut quite a bit of him in the final edit, the theatrical release of this movie. There's a lot of other footage, which is one of the things that people didn't like about this movie, how little of him there was, which is understandable considering how much they used him in the marketing for this film. So again, DC Warner Brothers is relying on what's going to be, I guess, an Ultimate Edition to finally show a more complete vision of what this story was supposed to be. And that's not to detract from any of the performances. And like I said, this movie doesn't come out until tomorrow. I have yet to see it. I may love it. A lot of people that I respect had a lot of fun with the movie. They said, it's all over the place, but it was a lot of fun. And that is credited to the characters and the cast that are in the film. But it's a shame to see that now we have to wait for some Blu-ray release where there's going to be like a different edit of this movie, which is what they did for Batman vs. Superman. Warner Brothers should learn that trust the people working on these films, trust their director, because the Zack Snyder edit, while not being a good film, is a much better film than the theatrical release. Trust your people. I don't understand why they got to stick their dicks in everything here and bring all the cooks into the kitchen and fuck everything up. But that's just, that's neither here nor there. Like I said, the movie doesn't come out until tomorrow, and I have yet to see it, so I have yet to form my own opinion of it. But this is what's going on. But it just goes to say, we're having this discussion, and there's these sort of apologetic reasons for why there's bad reviews for a movie that hasn't even come out yet. That's not a good sign. That's not to say that this film's going to tank. I don't believe it's going to tank. I think it's going to do very well at the box office. The anticipation is high on this, and now there's a lot of word of mouth around it because of the reviews, and people want to be involved in the conversation, which is totally understandable. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. I apologize for being all sweaty up in here. I noticed we were having some issues with the sound yesterday. Now that I'm recording on this device, there can be no ventilation in here today. So it's a little warm, so you're going to have to sweat it out with me today. So anyway, let's move on to the next topic, which is Stranger Things. Which, if you've not seen it yet, you have no reason to watch this video. Go watch Stranger Things and then come back and we can get into this here. So, Stranger Things, if you don't know, is a Netflix series. Season 1, as you know, Netflix drops everything all at once, and it's a cool little series. It's a great binge watch. It's one of the better binge watching experiences that I've seen. Daredevil being one of them, which was fantastic. But this one being, because this one was so good, because the thing that Netflix does, which is beautiful, is they don't put a time constraint on the actual episodes. You're not fitting into, let's say, a 30-minute time slot and allotting time for commercials. If you need 35 minutes to tell your story that particular episode, you get your 35 minutes. If you're trying to tell an hour story, you get your hour. You get a little over an hour if you need it. You get what you need. And that results in really concise filmmaking. It's very effective storytelling. You get to get to your point, but also take your time telling it. So, Stranger Things is the Duffer Brothers who created it and wrote it and whatnot. These guys came out of nowhere. I mean, they have one feature film that came out called Hidden that came out last year. Other than that, they were staff writers at Wayward Pines. I mean, these guys came out of nowhere. They're big Stephen King fans, which, as you've seen in Stranger Things, it just drips of that Stephen King vibe. So what they originally had done is they had originally pitched an idea of it to the WB for a series, which didn't obviously go anywhere. But through, I guess, talks, they impressed the right people, and they got to working with Netflix to develop Stranger Things. And it really is, I heard somebody say, and I have to quote them, I can't remember who it is, so if you remember, tell me. It's very much a love letter to the 80s. It really is. It plays off that nostalgia thing, which is really cool. And I don't think it plays into it too much. It rides that fine line where it rides nostalgia, but doesn't go into cliche or cheesy. Or it doesn't go over the line. It toes the line very well, which is very difficult to do. It's definitely got that feel of like E.T. and Goonies, and you can definitely see where it's taken its stylistic approach to storytelling from these films, visually and just the characters and the way it's just told. The way it's presented, it's got that Poltergeist, that Goonies feel to it. It plucks at the heartstrings. I had a lot of fun watching this. Like I said, it's a great binge watch because the flow of it is very well done, and it's got great cast. The casting is fantastic on this. It revolves around this group of kids, and one of their friends goes missing, and the one that goes missing, he's sort of like from the wrong side of the tracks. If you want to date back to like those 80s nostalgia points, that Stand By Me, how Corey Feldman's character was from, like, he was kind of poor. All those movies had that. The poor kid who maybe didn't have it. His family had some issues. Maybe there's some domestic issues. Maybe somebody's boozing it up, or for whatever reason, So this is the friend that happens to go missing, and he's been taken to someplace else by something, and Winona Ryder plays his mother. And I've heard a lot of criticism about how every scene Winona Ryder is in, how she sort of takes you away from what's going on, which I sort of beg to differ, because she's essentially frantic every time she's on screen, and whether she's smoking or she's on the phone or she's consistently freaking out through the entirety of this series, of this season at least. But she has reason to. First of all, she's a mom. Her kid is gone. He's been taken to another dimension, and she knows that he's still alive because she's getting odd phone calls where she hears his voice. And then like the phone is exploding, and shorting out. And she's able to communicate with him through light fixtures, and all of a sudden she's actually worked out an alphabet to communicate with him through Christmas lights on the wall. Which I thought was a great touch. I thought it was a great touch. The thing is, everybody thinks she's mad. She's in this sleepy town. It's 1983. The sheriff, Hop, is a small town sheriff who moved from the big city, and he's just fallen into his drinking and sleeping late, and as far as he's concerned, there's nothing going on in this town, and nobody's believing her, so she's crazy. She comes across as very crazy. So I gotta give it to her for that. I mean, Winona forever. I love you, babe. So anyway, so that's all going on. Meanwhile, one of his group of friends, the kids, they're all looking for him too, because this kid's now missing. And they stumble across this girl, 11, who is played magnificently by Millie Bobby Brown. Great young actress. She really commits. And the reason she's so good in it is because her role is not very dialogue driven. It's all about her presence on screen, her emotional commitment to what's going on, her investment to the role. It's all done in her emotion and her intensity. And she's definitely a rising star. I hope this is a launching platform for her. I don't see why it wouldn't be, because she's fantastic in it. And she definitely has some great interactions with another young actor on board. This guy, this kid, Caleb McLaughlin, who plays Lucas. They have some great interactions. He's sort of the skeptic of the group. So Finn, who's like the major kid, I can't remember what his name is actually in the show. I believe it's the actor's name is Finn, or his name is Finn. Takes a young 11 in, and there's sort of like a burgeoning puppy love theme developing between the two of them, which is very sweet. But so she's hidden in the house, and he's hiding her from his parents, and sneaking her food, and she falls in love with like Eggo waffles, which will come into play in a little bit. Anyway, all this is going on. Winona Ryder is talking her son through lights in the wall. She knows he's in the wall. Everybody thinks she's nuts. She lives in his shitty house. She's fucking hacking through the walls with fucking cutting holes in the walls trying to get to him. It's insane. And she's got the oldest son, the loner kid. He's the loner. And the thing is, the main young kid who has taken in 11, he's got an older sister. And his older sister is sort of the ugly duckling, you know what I mean? She was all sort of nerdy, and now she's like in high school, and she's sort of growing into herself and become quite a little number walking around. And she's just starting to get to know it. She's all shy, hanging out with her nerdy friend Barb, who hasn't quite made that transition yet. And of course, the popular Mr. Popular, because we need Mr. Popular in an 80s nostalgia series. Mr. Popular comes in, and he's got the hots for her. But the thing is, they could have gone cliche with this, and it's not like they made Mr. Popular, who his character's name is Steve Harrington on the show, who's played unbelievably by Joe Keery. The thing was, what they were originally going to do with him is he was going to sort of be in for like 2 episodes, have her as like a notch on his belt, growing lessons for the girl. But he was so good, and he blew them away that they actually wrote him a great story arc. So he starts being like the asshole, the jock, preppy, Mr. Popular guy who has the crush on the virginal girl coming into her own. And her friend is warning, oh, he's only out for one thing, he only wants the bod. Which, they could have gone that route, but the thing is, he actually turns out to be a little more like Jake from 16 Candles. He's actually really into her, and when you first are introduced to his character, you really don't like him. He's kind of slimy, he kind of slithers, you kind of want to, slam his dick in a car door or something like that. But he sort of redeems himself as it progresses, and then it comes to a point in the show where you actually are concerned about his well-being. And it's a great story arc that they gave him, and the young actor, Joe Keery, who plays it, really pulls it off. And his sort of, the yang to his yin is the Winona Ryder's older son, who is John, and he's the loner. He's, he's misunderstood. Everybody in school thinks he's crazy. The joke is, didn't he kill his missing brother? The thing is, but what's good about him is you're gonna love him. You're gonna feel bad for him. The outsider in all of us is going to identify with him. But the thing is, he's got a little creepy side to himself. Whereas, like, Mr. Perfect Popularity, who we want to hate, we love to hate, we end up loving. Mr. Loner, he's got a little creepy side too. He's with that camera of his. He's out there peeping Tom and snapping photos of our young starlet older sister getting her first getting into the grips of love. But he just so happens to catch Barb, her nerdy friend, disappear, and Barb gets it rough. Where we're gonna get young William back from this other dimension where this creature has taken him. Barb, that's her swan song. She's out. She died. She had a shitty run. She watched her friend get some, but always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Poor Barb. Anyway, so what we find out is we have photographic proof because young peeping Tom in the bushes got a photo of the monster that took Will to this other dimension. Well, what we find out is this girl, 11, she's got secret powers, right? And we find out that she comes from this laboratory where they blew the fucking dust off pasty fucking Matthew Modine, and they stuck him in this show, and he's there. I mean, this guy blends into. You could have had a mop be his part. I mean, really, it's Matthew Modine. The guy is really, he's sort of like the epitome of stiff. And anyway, so he's there, and he's sort of like this head scientist on this Black Ops project where they're turning 11 into like a weapon or something like that, and she's got these crazy powers, and they're developing her. And the thing is, in doing so, they've essentially ripped a hole into time and space, into the fabric of time and space, and and they've unleashed this fucking monster that's out, and he feeds on blood, and this is where he's taking young William and young Barb, who never made it to the altar. Oh, poor Barb. Anyway, so they release this thing onto into the world, and they sort of know what's going on, but they really don't want to know, and they're trying to cover the whole fucking thing up. Well, the thing is, Winona Ryder's figured out that her son is in this other place, and now they got this photographic evidence, so they go to Hop, the sheriff, played awesome by that guy you've seen in a ton of shit and you don't know who he is. He was most recently in Black Mass. His name's David Harbour. I think you're going to see a lot more of him because he's really good in Stranger Things. But you've seen him a million times. You know who he is. You just don't know who he is. But he's that guy in that thing. So he's a believer now. He believes. So now we got to figure out how we're going to get these guys back. How are we going to get this kid back? So we have 11. 11's got powers. 11 can communicate. And so she finds out that Will, our boy Will, he's still alive on the other side. He's the proof. So they find out through some awesome kids on bikes riding with some epic music playing on this mission to go find out where this rip in time is, and they figure out if they use their compasses that the gravitational pull of this rip in fabric of time and space will divert the normally north pointing compasses towards this rip in time and space. So they go to this lab. Obviously, they find out it's at this lab. So, let's talk about this monster for a little bit, because I had a problem with the monster. Since this show plays so much into the nostalgia of the this particular genre, I think it would have been pretty cool if they would have used practical effects on the damn monster instead of making it CG. It kind of sucked me out of it. It should have had that like Stan Winston feel. It should have had that sort of pumpkin-heady, cheesy, sort of like scare the shit out of you if you were like 10. You know what I'm saying? It should have had that. But instead, it's like CG. And so that's a bit of a problem I have with that. Although it is used effectively towards the end when we finally get rid of this monster, which what eventually ends up happening is our young teenage heroes have set up. We're all friends now. We're all friends, all the teenage heroes. The bad kid, the good kid, the loner kid, the daughter. Everybody's one big happy family at this point. After there was some trials and teenage tribulations. So we have our boy Hop, the sheriff. He's convincing our man, pasty-ass Willem Dafoe, that he's going to do him a favor, which we don't find out what that is. If we can send our girl Winona Ryder and Hop Hop is his name, in through this hole in fabric and time for them to go get our young William back. Got to get Will back. So they do so. And in doing so, they track the monster, and the monster tracks them down. All the meanwhile, they're trying to get back 11. It's this whole big crazy chase thing. And 11 gives her life and takes out the monster to save us all. She did it. The ultimate act, the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. 11 did it. Or did she? Because that's where we get to the ending here. Because like we say, our boy Hop made a deal with Matthew Modine, pasty-ass Matthew Modine, that, well, we don't know what the deal is. So now, this leads us into, it's like a 3-month later thing, and our young William's back. He's barfed some crazy thing out, and he's getting Atari for Christmas, which is excellent. He's getting that Atari. So everybody's a happy family again, and we see our boy Hop, sheriff, in the woods, walking. Remember those Eggos I was telling you about? Well, in the middle of the woods, there's a box. And he opens that box, and he puts in a plate of food. And on top of that plate of food, he puts in a stack of Eggos. So our girl 11 could be alive still. Now, the thing is, we know this is going to get picked up for a second season. I almost think it shouldn't be picked up for a second season because it was told so well that I'm concerned that if we get a season 2, we've left enough loose ends where like it makes it charming and it leaves a little mystery where we can all think, oh my God, could you imagine if they made a season 2, but if they didn't do it, you know what I mean? Like we could speculate, oh my God, and we could speculate for the end of time. What if? And they didn't do it. That would be great. But instead, they're going to do it, I'm sure. And I'm concerned that we're going to spend too much time answering questions and analyzing things and overanalyzing it and over-answering questions where we're going to beat it to death and beat some of the magic out of what the first season was. And I would hate to see that happen. But anyway, cast did a great job. The kids are great. I mean, you love these kids. There's little Dustin with no teeth. The kid is just magic. I wish I could bring him home with me and just stick him in the corner. I love that kid. He's He's like the chunk of the group, if you will. It's very charming. The kids, they're lovable kids. They're all good kids. That's the thing. You like the kids, you know, even the teenagers, even the bad kids. You like them. That's what makes the show so endearing, other than the nostalgia factor. You really you really end up liking these kids. And there's a couple of little plot holes here and there, a couple of things that don't get answered, but I sort of like it like that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below about anything, you know. Make sure you subscribe and click like and all that stuff. Tell your friends, share me along, pimp me out, if you will. You can find me on social media. I am on Twitter and Instagram at terrytheloon. I'm at terrytheloon, not .com. I'm just at terrytheloon. I'll put a little thing down there so you can see it. But anyway, yeah, drop me a line, click like, subscribe, comment below, and I'll see you next time. I'll be coming back. I'll be doing a Suicide Squad review. I'll actually give my opinion of it. And some other things. We'll do some cooking, a little bullshit about some other stuff, some movies coming out, some comics, all sorts of shit. We'll get into it. I'll have some special guests on. Anyway, it was great seeing you. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate our time together, and I'll see you next time.